Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready for Broker Tents.
What's up, everyone? Today is another beautiful day, and I'm here with a legend right now. This is another show on Broker Talks. Please watch this whole video because it's gonna get crazy. I have a great guest right now. His name is Vince Gebbia. We know each other for a couple of years. We started working with each other the last year, about a year, right?
Yeah, really solid, like the last year.
And we got so much cooking. We got millions of dollars of Florida real estate and businesses. We got millions and millions of dollars of businesses here in New York, and there's just so many stories to tell. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me. And I couldn't imagine being with somebody better. You know, this is my second podcast ever, so I'm super excited to be on.
Awesome. No, thank you. You're a natural. So let's get started. Who is Vince Gebbia? Tell us.
So Vince Gebbia, who's Vince Gebbia? So I went to Sachem. I graduated from there. I played football and I wrestled throughout 12th grade. After high school, just really kind of stumbling, trying to figure out, worked in a warehouse, driving a forklift, and I worked for an air conditioning company. I worked for MCM Distributors, which was, they distributed Rheem. And I worked in the warehouse, and I would drive the forklift, and I'd have to get the air conditioners from high up and then bring them down. And what happened was I sucked with the forklift, and I would drop the equipment, I would smash the equipment, I'd hit the forks into the metal, and they finally made a big scratch and dent board, and they called it Vinny's Scratch and Dents, and they discounted all the equipment every week. And so finally I got fired from that job, okay, because I sucked at it. And then my dad was like, well, I come from a family of mechanics. My father was a steam fitter, my brothers are all mechanics. Phenomenal, very smart guys. They all excelled at BOCES. They did great. And my father was like, listen, you're not a blue-collar guy. Why don't you try sales? Maybe that might be better for you, okay? I was like, okay, no problem. So I went to Raymond Chevrolet. I saw an ad in Newsday. We're looking to hire salespeople. I went to Raymond Chevrolet in Bayshore, or whatever, Sunrise Highway. And I borrowed a tie from my father. I was wearing Doc Martens. I had a white short sleeve shirt, and I borrowed a tie from my dad. I walked in. I met with the owner, or the sales manager at the time, Tom Anschultz. And Tom did not hire me, but he called me a week later and he said, Vincent, we have a used car sales position. It's not new cars, which is what you interviewed for, but it's used cars. So we want you to come back in and try the used car position. I said, okay. So I put on the Doc Martens, I put on the tie, and I went to work in this little trailer with 5 guys on the side lot selling used cars. And I'm 19 years old at this time.
Oh, wow.
And these guys were all like seasoned pros, 30 years in the industry, knowing what they do. Like I don't know nothing about selling. I have no clue. So I get a tape. I'm driving a Datsun B210, and I get a tape. It said from Joe Girard, how to close any sale. And I listened to this tape 10 hours a day, non-stop, all day long. My windshield wipers didn't work. So like, I remember one day, my car would just start without a key. So I remember one day it's raining, I start the car, and I'm using a windshield wiper, right? By myself, like I'm using my hand to do the windshield wiper. Joe Girard is talking about how you close every sale, and I started implementing it. Day one, which fast forward was like 30 days at this point, and I haven't sold a car yet. And there was this guy, Costa. So I don't know, Rocky, if you're watching this, but you're a big inspiration. Rocky used to have 5-6 people waiting to talk to him. And I'd be sitting there like, hey, can I help you? Oh no, I want to see Rocky. I want to see Rocky. And I'm like, finally, Rocky and I, on Friday, he goes, Vinny, give me a pay stub. I go, what? He goes, give me a pay stub. He goes, I'll give you $100 for your pay stub. Now, I don't want to put Rocky's business out there, but Rocky was going through a divorce, and Rocky was selling 5 cars a day. Rocky used my pay stub to show his wife that he made no money. So I'm like, Rocky, how do you sell so many cars? People waiting for him to do a deal with this guy. Love doing a deal with him, hugging him, bringing him gifts. Long story short, Joe Girard and Rocky trained me on how to do sales. And it was building rapport, getting people to trust you, understanding if you don't know something, you figure it out with them. Within 4 months, I became the #1 used car salesman at that location. I am 20 years old. I move out of my house. I get an apartment on the water in West Islip.
Wow.
On South Bay Drive. I'm 20 years old. I move in with 2 of my friends. I got rid of the Datsun. I got a Maxima. Okay.
Wow.
And I was so excited because I had a Bose Maxima and I had leather. And I was so excited to do this, you know. And at the time, this guy, Carlos Medina, would do pinstriping on the car. And I paid extra $500 to have him pinstripe my car. And I thought, like, I made it. Holy cow. 1 year in, I'm doing great. I'm making money. And you know what I did? I got complacent. I became... oh, you know what? I don't want to take this guy. You take the up. I'm like thinking, oh, I'm so cool,
Yeah.
And you know what? That was a downside. I got very complacent, and I wound up getting fired a year later. Yeah. So then what happened was...
how did you get fired?
Because I was drinking, I was hanging out, like I was partying. I'm young. I'm making money. And I'm going to South Beach every other weekend. I'm not showing up for work. I'm making, really good money. And I'm being a kid. I'm stupid. I'm very immature about what I was doing. So I got fired. And at the time, I was with this girl, and we were going to get married. And once I got fired, she was like, I'm a teacher. I can't have a life with you. Like, what are you going to do? Like, what? You're a loser. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm a loser. I went from being a loser, getting on top, and then falling again, Well,
that's why who you are today, right?
Yeah, you always fail forward. You always got to fail forward, And it's super important. So fast forward a little bit, I then got another sales job and really rededicated my effort and my consistency every single day. Brian Tracy and Tom Hopkins, I became addicted to listening to Brian Tracy every single day. And it just changed my life. I built relationships. I was selling commercial laundry and dry cleaning equipment. And my territory was Suffolk County. And within 6 months, they expanded me to Nassau and Suffolk. I became the #1 sales guy at that company. I'm 24 years old now, 23. And what happened then was this landlord who owned a laundromat in Center Reach calls me and says, hey, I want to buy some equipment. We had a fire at our store. And this guy was about 75 years old. I met with him and his wife, Tom and Maria, and we met at this store. And he says, I got an insurance check for $57,000. I want to buy new equipment, new laundry, coin laundry and dryers. And I'm like, well, what do you want to do then? He said, well, then I want to put in new equipment, then I want to sell the store. I said, well, why don't you just sell the store to me? I'll buy the store from you. We made a deal that day, handwritten on a piece of paper. He gave me the $57,000 check. The part of the deal was I had to put the $57,000 into the store, into the business, okay? I didn't have the money at the time. I had to come up with 50 grand. And I brought a partner in. We bought the store. We were completely renovated. Now remember, he's the landlord still. So now I have a deal, a new lease with him. I take over this store. We call it the Laundry Room of Center Reach. Which, by the way, the laundry room is from your car wash. You had the laundry room when I was a kid. I worked there.
Yeah.
So I always wanted to open up a laundromat. I called it the Laundry Room of Center Reach. And it was on Middle Country Road. And within 2 years, we flipped that store, and I got my first $100,000 check in my pocket. Like, this is my biggest check ever, right? Now, granted, I'm making money selling, but this was like a big check, right?
So you flipped the business.
I flipped the business.
Back then.
I was 20, going to be 25 years old, okay? Then, that was my first business I ever flipped. Now, I always wanted to be a businessman, so I'm like, this is it, I'm doing it, you know?
Was there a business broker in that deal?
No, I was in the industry, so I found the buyer already. I didn't even realize it, but I was
Did you know what business brokering was at that time?
I did not know what business brokering was, but because I was involved with building laundromats and dry cleaners, I wound up flipping and buying 3 dry cleaners, other laundromats. Like, you start, once you're in the mix, just like with you, in the pizza place, you sold your first pizza place because you were delivering and you met the business broker. It was the same thing. It just, they call it acres of diamonds under your own feet. Like, you don't got to look somewhere else, just look at where you are right now, you know?
Yeah.
And at that point, I had gotten my real estate license, and I had it with Zia Real Estate, and this is 2003. And then I bought my first 2-family house in Patchogue Village, which I still own today, and I paid $95,000.
Wow.
The day I closed, Michael, there was a shooting on River Avenue across the street, a shooting, and I'm like, what the F did I do? I bought in like the worst neighborhood ever. Long story short, I rented that house. I continued to rent it. And that was my first real estate investment. And then kind of fast forward a little bit from there, my childhood best friend, we were on a cruise with my girlfriend and his wife at the time, and sitting just like we're sitting, we're on a Carnival cruise. And every night you had like a timed dinner, like at 6 o'clock you had to be at dinner at the cruise, right? So we would sit outside of the ballroom, and there was these 2 massage chairs, and you put a dollar bill in it. And I would use it every night. I'm like, Chris, I probably spent $30 before. We went to dinner early just to use the massage chairs. We put the dollar bill in, get a 3-minute massage, blah, blah, blah. The cruise is now coming to the last day of the cruise. I've been using these chairs for 7 days. The last day, I said, Chris, I turn the chair over, I get the information. It's called Joy Power Global out of Taiwan. I look them up on Alibaba. I make a deal with them to import vending massage chairs. We call it the back rubber, okay? Long story short is that we took that company, we created a company, $7,500 each, $15,000 total, made a website, marketing brochure, and what we did is we grouped these chairs together and we sold them as a business opportunity. You buy 1 chair, 2 chairs, 5 chairs, 20 chairs, and then I would get you a locator and I'd put them in car washes, laundromats, gyms, fun centers, bowling alleys,
That's why you know
malls.
so many people.
All unbelievable. This is 2005, okay? I'm a young man. We do $1 million year 1 in sales,
Wow.
okay?
Wow.
Year 1, $1 million.
You were on top of the world at that time.
Top of the world, okay? Life is going great, okay? We then decide we're going to sell the company. Now we're doing $1 million. It's not a company that I don't even think about me selling it. I contact Nathan Goldstein from Vested Business Brokers.
Great guy, Nathan Goldstein.
Great guy. He's a wonderful, wonderful guy. And really kind of mentored me a lot, you know.
Smart guy.
Me and Chris, it really did phenomenal. Nathan Goldstein sells the company to David Simon. David Simon is married to Howard Stern's ex-wife, Allison Stern, okay? So I sell the business to Allison Stern and David Simon, okay? And I've never met Howard Stern, but you know, it's just the ex-wife. So she had the money from him. He paid $1.8 million.
Wow.
For the company.
And you started with 15 grand.
Yes.
That's the American dream.
Yes.
You can just pull something together and just
create value.
Create value.
And you know it better than anybody. You know, like you're the best at it. So now 1.8 million, we get $1 million down, and we finance 800. So now I'm understanding about seller financing. I'm understanding about how to do these things. Now this is a much larger transaction. Now I'm getting paid for the next 5 years. So then Chris and we start another company for credit repair, creditfix411.com. We had a manual, a booklet, all this stuff. We sold that company for like 30 grand. Then we started a drop shipping company, Big Kids Billiards. We're selling pool tables online. We sold that company.
Wow.
Then we start Big Cat Power Sports, and we were importing little electric scooters, little scooters, right? So we private label, we get exclusive distribution.
How did you come up with that name? I'm sorry, Big Cat.
So Big Cat, we came up with, I was watching National Geographic, and they have Big Cat Week, Big Cat Diaries, and it's like all about cats and big cats. And I might have been under the influence of marijuana that week, okay? And we're watching it, and I'm like, Big Cat Week.
That's when you get a good idea, though, right?
Sometimes you got to get a little high creativity.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Big Cat, this is what, Big Cat, like this sounds like a strong name, So we're now importing little gas scooters, little electric scooters. We open up a retail store across from the Smith Haven Mall in Lake Grove. And we are selling a lot of stuff online and drop shipping as well. We sell that company for $1 million again. So now this is my second hit. Okay.
You sold Big Cat for $1 million?
Yeah. Sold that for $1 million with the retail store and the business. This is 2007 now. Okay. So then, now we're we're thinking we can't lose. Like we're starting a company, and we're gonna flip every company every year for $1 million, right?
Buying and selling businesses.
Building
and selling.
And buying too. I've acquired, I've acquired a lot of asset sales, and then you're able to run it, flip it, and stuff like that. So I'm involved doing all these deals, but not even realizing that this is like what my real passion is. But I'm just thinking about the next business. I'm a serial entrepreneur, So then we take our capital in 2007 and we go into flipping houses full time. Not even, we make the business of flipping. Now we're on every diner, we buy your house, we buy cash. We're sending out brochures. This is before flipping was super popular, Now we're flipping. And we did 35 houses in 2007, right? And then 2008 comes and the market crashes. 2008 was like a nightmare. We're starting to lose 50 grand here, 75 grand there, 30 grand on this house. And there was a house, the final straw was in 90 Bellhaven. I'll never forget this house. We were into it for $850. We sold it for $525. I had to go to the closing and write a check for $175 grand at the closing just to unload it. Sure enough, we have 2 houses in Watermill, one in Southampton and one in East Quogue. All of them, I have private money on it. I go from 10% interest to default to 18% interest. Now I'm what happened here? Now this is in 2009, 2010. It is a disaster. Really a horrible situation. Lost all the money I made, and then some. And literally went broke. Not just went broke, but had to go bankrupt. So you're boom, I'm on top of the world, and I'm falling and failing.
I love these stories because it's just such an entrepreneur story. You go up, you go down, you go up, you go down, and that's why who you are. So Continue. That's great.
And I'm not trying to hijack the
No, it's about you.
Yeah, you know, just
this whole thing's about you.
So then, okay, now 2000, Hurricane Sandy hits. Okay, hurricane. I'm floundering. My fiance leaves me. Again, a second time that now I'm, you know, we can't get married. You know, you're too unpredictable. Your cash flow. I can't have a family with you. And she's a nurse, and I'm like, this is like a nightmare. Like I'm a loser. I can't believe how far I've fallen, you know. And so Hurricane Sandy hits, and I had one house still that it flooded. So I had to get it lifted, right? So I'm trying to find like a lifting company. I call up Dawn House Movers and Davis Building Movers, huge companies on Long Island. I call them both up, and they're like, yeah, we're backed up like 3 years. Like we can't even help you. And I'm like, now I have a mentality of flipping houses for years. I probably flipped over 100 houses, maybe 150 with Chris.
Wow.
And long story short is that I couldn't find anybody to lift this house that I needed lifted. I find a company out of Arkansas, okay? Actually, my mom sends me a picture. It says, "We lift your house." It was something that she's seen somewhere on Facebook. I call the guy, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm on my way to New York right now because of like all the you know." He's like, I said, "Oh, look, you know, I flip houses, and I'm trying to like, I have this house I need to get up," and he was like, "Could you have a place where I could get a yard?" I said, "Yeah, I have a couple of I still have my rental houses." I go, "Yeah, I have a big property. You can bring your stuff there." I said, "Look, let's work out a deal." Long story short, he comes over. I call him Blinky because he's always blinking all the time. You know, this guy is crazy. And he comes and he puts all his steel, and it's crib packs, so you need like crib packs and you need steel. He puts it in my yard. I said, "Look, I'll give you free rent. I want to lift this house." He's like, "Okay." He goes, "Look, I'm bringing my guys in, blah, blah, blah." I get them a hotel. Now he's got 10 guys there. Unbeknownst to me, he taught me how to lift a house. With him, I started a house lifting company.
Wow.
I started a house lifting company, VTG Elevation and Construction. And now, from that point forward, I lifted 45 houses in Long Beach, out east, Amityville, Massapequa, with this guy's crew. You know, he was licensed, he was insured, I was doing all the sales. I didn't know how to sell anything. I mean, I didn't know how to sell house lifting, but I knew how to, you know.
You were a natural born seller.
Natural born seller. Now, after Sandy, I'm like, these other house lifting companies, I know that they're not even available.
Yeah.
So I'm like, now I'm putting on an ad, News 12, I'll lift your house, you know what I mean? I got a picture of me holding the house.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. It's all marketing. The phone's ringing, and I'm just lifting the house. I'm not doing any construction, anything like that. Boom, we're lifting houses. Now I'm getting back on top. You know what I mean? So that, I did that for 4 years until I couldn't work with homeowners. They were like such a pain in the ass, the wives, and everybody always complaining about everything. At the end of the job, they always owed you 10 grand, never wanted to pay you. So I wound that down, at which point I was like, I wanted to create more predictable income. So I created Big Cat electric bicycles. And just what the creation was my mom, who lives in Bellport Village at the time. She went riding her bicycle up a little hill, and she fell over. She couldn't get up the hill. My mom's older. She put on weight. She has 5 boys. She has a defibrillator. So this is like...
You have 4 brothers?
I have 4 brothers, yeah.
I know that. Wow.
Yeah, 2 older, 2 younger. Yeah, big Italian family, you know?
Wow.
I'm very blessed. And so my mom goes to ride it. My mom was an avid bike rider her whole life.
Oh, wow.
And so now she goes to go up a little hill, And she fell over and she's crying to me, Vincent, my life's over. I can't even ride a bicycle. This is terrible. So I'm like, you know what? I said, Mom, I used to see these bikes in China because I used to go to China when I did the importing for the other company. So I still had contacts in China, and I sent an email to Joey. It's not his real name, but everybody has an American name in China. Yeah. So Joey, I sent him a picture of my mom's bike, and I said, Joey, I want to make an electric bike for my mom. I wasn't in business. Big Cat, it's not even a thought yet. This is right before that, right? So I start working on this. This is 6 months, okay? City Bike rolls out a $50 million bike share program in New York City. Huge news, right? Tesla is popping, starting to become huge.
What year is this?
This is after Hurricane Sandy. So 2014, 2015, roughly. Juul electric cigarettes became like huge, right? So I'm like, electric cigarettes, which I'm not a smoker, but electric cigarettes, my mail's electric, email, the trains are electric, my toothbrush is electric. And I'm thinking, oh, entrepreneur, why not electric bikes?
Yeah.
Electric bicycles. Like, I'm going to take over the world with electric bicycles, right? So my mom, I get the sample in. My mom gets the bicycle. It comes in damaged. I bring it over to Oakdale Bikes, this guy, Jeff. I said, Jeff, can you build this thing for me? I'm not mechanical. He builds it. He says, oh, bikes kind of cool. These are like a fad, right? I'm like, listen, I think they're pretty cool. He's like, yeah. I'm like, do you ever want to sell one? He's like, no way, I would never sell these. That's cheating. I'm a biking enthusiast. Electric, what kind of bike is that? I'm like, okay, no problem. My mom gets the bike. My mom used it for 8 months. She lost 40 pounds. She was up every hill. She was completely mobile. She went everywhere. My mom was my best salesman. She put 2,000 miles on that electric bike. The sample, okay?
Wow.
2,000 miles and losing weight.
Wow.
She felt like a kid again. She's totally mobile. Changed her life. And by the way, that video from my mom is on my website, bigcatbikes.com, and you can see my mom's own testimony on there.
Wow.
So now, I'm not even in the business yet. I'm just still like doing the house lifting, I'm doing flips, and I'm like going from there. So now my mom's like gives me all the things that she loves about the bike and then all the things that she hates. I go back, I make like 50 changes to the bike, right? So now I want to make one for my dad because I want them to ride together. So now I take his bicycle, I copy it, I send it to Joey. He now sends me back 2 bikes, and I'm thinking of Big Cat. I go, Joey, I want you to put Big Cat logo on both bikes, right? The bikes come in. I ship them to Florida because my parents live in Florida at this time. I ship them to a bike store because I want them professionally assembled. The bike store calls me up and he goes, hey, Vinny, these are really cool bikes. Where do you get them? And I'm like, so now I'm like, this guy's like kind of interested in these bikes, I was like, oh yeah, I'm working out a distribution deal and I'm working on them. He's like, all right. He's like, I would like to try some. I think they're really cool. They're nice quality. Now my mom and my dad are riding bikes every night and every day on Daytona Beach. It's very flat sand. You could ride, you could drive on there. Their neighbors are like loving them. My mom's calling me up. She goes, hey, Vincent, my 2 neighbors want an electric bike. All right, so now I'm like, okay, cool. I called Joey, give me a 20-foot container, which was 75 bikes, okay? I bring in 75 bikes. I import them to Lincoln Avenue in Holbrook. I put them in a little warehouse, like I don't even have an office, right? I finally incorporate. So now I send a couple of bikes to my parents' friends. I sell them a couple here and there. I start bringing a bike to every single bike store in Long Island. walking in with the bicycle. Hey, I'm Vinny a Big Cat.
That's what you got to do.
That's it. It's a great story because it's belly to belly selling, knocking on doors. Like, I'm a cold caller. I'm a canvasser.
And I saw those bikes when I went to Florida with you.
Yeah,
those bikes are grade A. Even Damon John buys those bikes.
Yes, Damon John is a customer, and he's got 5 bikes, and we have many, many customers on it. So, I then go to every bike store. Everybody shuts the door on me. Oh, those things are a fad. Nah, they're no good. Now, I found out that Lee Iacocca, who is the Chrysler chairman, you know who?
I heard the name.
Okay,
yeah.
Lee Iacocca, you're a little bit younger, but Lee Iacocca was a phenomenal Chrysler chairman, formed the company. He started an electric bike company in the late 80s or mid 80s, but the battery technology, you go like not even a half a mile and the thing would die on you. So it wasn't that great. What happened, the big transfer for me was that they went from lead acid batteries to lithium ion. Once they went to lithium ion, they went 3-4 times longer. Once Tesla started to pop off, I started to pop off. Now, once these guys started shutting the door on me and closing it, I don't want these bikes everywhere. I was like, F you, I'll open up my own store. These guys don't get it. They're all like so close-minded to a new technology in their business, which is a disruptive.
They're not innovating.
Not innovating. They're all thinking, you can't make an electric bicycle. That's so stupid. They don't get it.
Wrong.
I go to Sunvet Mall. I see it used to be an old photo mat, a little store. I see for rent. I opened up my first retail store there. Now I'm on Sunrise Highway, Sunvet Mall. People are coming. They're looking at the bikes. They're seeing them. They're like, I would say 7 out of 10 people didn't know what electric bikes were. I had to school them. I was very early in the industry, right? Then all of a sudden, now people are starting to see them. They're working. They're growing good. Now I'm importing them. Now I'm importing them. So then I did at Long Beach. I did a surf week on the boardwalk. A pop-up tent, right? I sold 11 bikes in 1 week. It cost me $500. I had a pop-up 10 by 10 tent, and this guy comes up to me and goes, "Hey, I live in Florida. What's up with this franchise?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's not a franchise. It's my company." He's like, "I want to do this in Florida." I sold him my first pop-up business for $15,000. He bought the territory, okay, and then he bought the bikes, and now he had his own Big Cat business. So fast forward, I sold like 25 of those easily. I have a flagship store in Fort Lauderdale, and I've now sold over 5,000 bicycles.
Wow.
Electric bikes.
Wow.
And then now the business is like really just kind of on autopilot. And I said, you know what? I turned 50 years old in last August, and I said, I really want to get back into commercial real estate and business, like just business advisory, business brokering. That's when I seen your Instagram.
How long ago?
This is a year and a half ago now, easily, a year and a half ago. And I said, this guy gets it. This is what I've been doing my whole life, but you created a platform, you created a brand. And I said, I want to link up with you. Now I'm already successful. I'm already doing great. I'm up, I'm down, I failed forward. But your Instagram and your story of Business Broker King, and then I said, Headstone Advisors, then you and I met. I wanted to meet with you.
Right here.
Yeah, we met here. I wanted to meet with you face to face. And I told you my story then. And we hit it off. Yeah. And now since then, I really now have committed with you and myself. And I just it's unbelievable, what we're doing together.
It's insane. It's just the beginning.
We're just starting.
We're just starting. I mean, we've been together, I would say, seriously, maybe 6 months.
Probably, if that.
If that.
Really committed.
Really committed. And we have probably, including the Florida deals, we probably have 100 million in listings together?
Easily. You know, and that's just a start. Like, when I say, like, I love to be able to connect the dots, and I love to create a win-win, and I really feel like at 50 years old again, I found like my passion and my purpose again.
You're so good at it too.
You know, and
we're gonna make. There's just so many deals to make right now.
You know, and you're the leader, and I love what you do, and you know I always commend you, and I'm not trying to like kiss his ass because I don't need to kiss his ass. I want to kiss his ass because he's a phenomenal guy and super smart. You know, and I mean, look, anybody that wants to get like, if you even feel like you have a natural inclination to do this, go for it. You have nothing to lose except your try, you know, and if you try, you triumph. So
I always tell everyone, never be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to learn. Looking at your journey, you went out there. You know, you said something in the beginning of your story where, you know, you felt like a loser because you were a salesperson, but you didn't know that being a great salesperson is the best skill in this entire country. You know, 80% of millionaires are people that came from nothing and mostly are in sales. And you having that skill set, look where it got to you. You know, the doctors, the lawyers, yes, that's a phenomenal profession. Other than that, going to school, I mean, it's just, you know, get into sales instead. I'm telling my kids, you know, at 6 years old and 3 years old, I'm not even joking. I'm teaching them sales right now because when they're 10, they're going to be selling businesses with me.
100%. Everybody always says, oh, you know, like when I was a kid, I did, you know, newspaper route, and I went, you know, and I was doing a snow shovel for my neighbor and stuff like that. I remember when I was a kid, I went to Sachem, and in 7th grade, 6th grade at the time, Price Club just opened up in Holbrook, and I grew up in Holbrook. So at the time it was called Price Club. Now it's called Costco. So I would go with my mom, and we have a big family, and we did not grow up rich. I grew up on a bunk bed. I was on the top bunk, by the way, and my brother was on the bottom bunk, and we would go, and my mom would buy this candy. And so in 6th grade, we'd always have candy like around the house. My mom like loved sugar. So going into 7th grade, I remember I had a Tommy Hilfiger white duffel bag. I bought all this candy, 7th grade. I filled it up. I would sell blow pops, Twizzlers, Snickers. I mean, I would even give them away to the girls because it was just a great way to meet girls. Yeah. It was a great way to meet people.
Selling. Yeah.
I was selling, but not realizing, right?
Yeah.
I did it all through 7th grade. My brother Thomas is 13 months younger than me. In 8th grade, my brother was getting into 7th grade. I got my brother to start selling. He was selling candy. I'm selling candy in Nokomis, in Nokomis school. We sold so much candy, they called my parents and said, Vincent is taking away from the vending machine sales in the school. He has to stop. You can't sell candy anymore here.
They had a non-compete against you?
It was my first time where, like, you know, they said, hey, you know, because what happened was I had 4 duffel bags, so I gave my brother a duffel bag. He had to give me $50 for the duffel bag, but he made $75, $80, so he made $30, $40 on it, you know. 3 other kids that I played football with, I gave them duffel bags. Here's your duffel bag, give me my $50. So I would get all the money, and then we had all these guys selling, you know what I mean? So it was like wholesale through, you know, Costco, you know. So it's just an unbelievable, and when you look back, you don't even realize like what you're doing, but it was a skill that my family, like later after high school, said, oh, you know, go be a warehouse guy, go be like a blue collar guy, like that's what you got to do. And like I'm like, all right, that's what I got to do. And I failed miserably at that, but selling skill, which I really honed when I worked at the Lockfield Manor. I worked at Lockfield Manor all through high school from 9th grade to 12th grade, and I was a waiter. I was like, I'd set up the ballroom. Like, you know, people wanted chicken Danielle. They wanted a second piece. I'm like, hey, all right, no problem. Don't forget to tip your guy. Oh, I love these steak knives. I'm like, all right, well, if you want a couple, don't forget to, you know, tip your guy. And you learn about different personalities when I was a waiter. You'd see the pain in the ass person, the nice person, the guy who knows it all, the guy who doesn't even appreciate you, doesn't respect you. You've seen so many personalities that you start to learn how to sell to.
Yeah.
And that really taught me a lot, you know. And then obviously I had a skill, and I polished my skill. And I mean, till this day, I'm 50 years old, and every single day I wake up, I journal, attitude of gratitude, I give it to God, I make my goals. I mean, it's just a constant, it's called the Kaizen principle, which is continuous development. It's a Japanese proverb. So that's all about like how I feel in my life, you know. And now coming with you and joining with you, I don't know, man. I feel like we're just so unstoppable.
The sky is the limit. We're getting every business for sale.
Yeah.
We're growing the mentorship together.
It's huge.
You know, there's just so much going on.
We have such a great energy in this company that I've never had that. And I've been involved with over 400 transactions in my life. And it's just, to be 50 years old and feel like a little kid again. Like I found my purpose.
Let's go. Let's sell that med spa. I'm excited. I'm gonna put that on my story today.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Your story is great. There's something about you when I just first met you. I'm like, I really like this guy. This guy is a freaking G.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate everything you've done for me, and you know, just your attitude and you know, your positivity and just you in general. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming on the show, man.
Oh, bro. It's my pleasure.
We crushed that one. We got so many gems in this podcast. Thank you, man. Watch it.
Let's
subscribe.
go. Let's go.